Mahila, I got a piece of information that you got to hold on to and grasp, okay? When you see Dean, when you see Dean from Supernatural um, in the material, what that means is that it's talking about David and Joab, okay? It's talking about at the Sam's Club, which is the furthest point on the Frederica Street from when I lived there. If you keep going, you're into the country, okay? It's kind of like just a strip and then it just ends. And there's Highway 54 where there's Pizza Guy, which was like Lion King, but then on the other side it's just Frederica and then it just ends. And then if you keep going, then you get to the Clark's Lake. You know, you have to make a few weird turns, but the Clarks, like, you know, Stockley and them, you know, from Owensboro. So okay, so when I talk to David there, it's talking about whenever I said basically that Michelle, not to get caught up with Michelle, and it was cold in the Sam's Club. It was cold. Okay, he was in the fresh cuts, and he came out of like the freezer area, and he had on like all white, like a lab coat, like it was a cryogenic. Okay, so or cryogenic. So then with now with Joab, um, it's talking about the Dan Barrett writings from the rec center when I made those. And what that means is the sharks with the knives, okay, at the France type island prison. Now, you have to count that as canon, that whole what I just said, because its soup are natural, okay? Nature al. Okay, so UL brick um S on. Okay, so it's saying before he betrayed his brother Joab over the money of the apartment, not doing it together, then and Joab was on his way back, remember, but I didn't see Joab, but he was driving back, and I was with Michelle and David, and they both said, you know, he's not paying his part, and we're gonna have to kick him out or something. And he basically had nowhere to go except Florida, is what he was thinking, where he scuba dived with the sharks, is what he told me. And that's when he was an EMT also. So it's pretty connected. So now the S on is basically the Michelle, but it's also the hook. Hook is US. Okay. So hook is, you know, you can say U, which is U6 S. Okay. So and then the who K is that they would have to pay the rent, is the who K. So it really does make sense that that is the supernatural. And then the part about, you know, in the diner with his mom, you have to look at that as just a sanctuary. That was the that was basically the Ryan and Aaron thing that they just put in there, because they knew that something was going on with the fowls at the time of Groxt. And that's why in that show they put in there the bull, like the humanoid bull that goes to war. And that kind of uh, like big bodied bald guy explained that, remember? Because he's got a big body because of the foreigners at Concordia. That's what that was. The foreigners at Concordia, which were all Croatia, talking about the crow connected to Army Hammer and Grox. It all goes back to Grox's teachings at that time. And he's bald because he's BL4. Okay, he's the coach of 4. Okay, um, but it's also S my or nay. You see, because of the B there, it's S the Malachi, which we think of in at that time. At that time, the commercials were Malachi that we escape. Remember from the office space and from the pirate ship and with the bats. So it's talking about that the Esmai are Pergamus, and then it's also talking about that it's the nay of that was the up and coming of that they knew someone was for within that as they speak, okay, or like kind of like what you have already, like they knew something was going on that was different from the rest of Pergamus. So that is the supernatural. That's Dean. Dean is not like do like you didn't do something. You have to look at it the way that it actually reads in the details of it.